You're listening to the All Systems Go podcast, the show that teaches you everything you need to know to put your business on autopilot. Learn how to deploy automated marketing and sales systems in your business the right way with your host, the professor of automation himself and founder of Automation Bridge, Chris Davis.
Welcome to the All Systems Go podcast. I'm your host, Chris L. Davis, the founder of Automation Bridge, an online publication for small business marketing automation. And everybody, I'm celebrating. If you can't tell the inflection in my voice, I'm celebrating. It is my 1-year business birthday at the time of recording this episode. I didn't know whether to call it an anniversary or a birthday, so I went with birthday. Business birthday sounded a little better than business anniversary, but what I'm going to do in this episode is reflect back on this last year. And since it's been 12 months, I figured, hey, let's use 12. And I'm going to provide you all 12 lessons that I've learned in my professional career in its entirety. Okay, not just the last 12 months. I'm a big proponent, strong believer in celebrating your wins loudly, especially as an entrepreneur, loudly and consistently, because you're going to take your share of losses. So if you don't celebrate the wins, you could easily interpret emotionally that you're losing. And I want to reflect both on the wins and losses and how they've made me into the person that I am today. So if you're new to the podcast, please make sure you listen to this episode in its entirety. Afterwards, leave a 5-star rating and review. You can subscribe to the podcast. If you have not subscribed yet, we're in Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and YouTube as the main outlets. But anywhere where you listen to podcasts, you can find the All Systems Go podcast. If you're a listener and you haven't left a 5-star rating and review, now is the time. Please take a moment and just leave a 5-star rating and review for the All Systems Go podcast. It'll be greatly appreciated as it helps get the word out, validate this podcast as the amazing piece of content consistently created out there in the marketing automation space. So please do that. And this one, if you couldn't tell by how it appears in your podcast app, this is going to run a little longer than usual, but I promise you it's going to be worth it. I'll be honest. In recording this, there were so many emotions going through me because it has been quite a roller coaster when you just sit back and look at how far you've come. So what I have to do is record this straight through. Okay, I'm not going to be taking pauses or breaks. If even if I get choked up a little bit, it'll all be in here. But the point is, if I try to make this thing perfect, it'll never get recorded. And there's just so much. I had to make a mental decision to just say, Chris, sit down and just record it. OK, so for those of you connected with me on social media, I want to thank you for your outpouring support and love that you sent my way from the post that I posted. For those of you that don't know and are not connected with me, I posted 5 of these 12. So this episode will encompass all 12, but I posted 5 on social media. And there was just a theme from that post, and that's going to be the theme throughout this episode, and that's thankfulness. I'm just thankful for everybody, every connection, every relationship that I've been able to build along the way. And it's been an amazing journey. It really has. So June 12th, as I mentioned, June 12th marks my 1-year business birthday. So what does that mean? The truth is, I've been in business for over 8 years, just never full time. There have been times where I've been full time in my business, but for the most part, my time has been shared with some form of employment. OK, so my business at Automation Bridge, we focus on the skill of marketing automation. That is my niche. That's my superpower. That's what I've used to have major success in the small business space. So we like to target digital marketing professionals and equip them with the strategy, the knowledge of creating select stacks for small businesses. So you need to be able to understand the technological landscape for marketing technology, pick the best tool and match it with the right strategy. So the person, that process, the process of, hey, let me come into your business and provide the service of automation. We call those automation service providers. And that's what Automation Bridge is dedicated and committed to, is creating as many automation service providers in the space to help small businesses scale. Every small business needs a marketer that knows how to install automated systems. It is the mission of Automation Bridge to create as many of those as possible through mentorship, coaching, and community. Okay, so that is the business. That's what has been growing, is growing. I'm operating in full time, and the importance is of this year is just that it's been the first year of me relying solely on my business for the income needed to maintain and go beyond the standard of living I established as an employee. Okay, so 12 months from today, I was fired, and I know it. For a lot of people, it may come as a shock to you listening, but let me just say, when the axe swings, nobody can lay low enough to not get hit. You know, it's just a reality, and how you navigate that unfortunate circumstance is going to determine everything. It's going to set the trajectory in your life, not just short term, but long term, when you can deal with losses in a healthy way and bounce back. You know, I tell everybody my COVID came early. You know, everybody, by March, I had already lost my income and, lost my benefits and everything like that. So my COVID came early, but it gave me an opportunity to regroup and reflect. You know, when it initially happened, you have the shock, the disappointment, excitement, like a big relief, because sometimes when you get fired, everybody, it's not all gloom and doom. Sometimes you could be like, whew, man, I didn't realize how taxing, that place was. I'll be right. So when it happened to me, and it's happened more than once, I'll be honest, I've been fired more than once. But this most previous time, what it caused me to do again is it put me into a deep mode of reflection as I thought on my career holistically, all the way back to Lockheed Martin. For those of you that don't know, started my career as an electrical engineer at Lockheed Martin. And I just taking the moment and seeing just all the ups and downs. It was quite an experience. So I'm going to try to capture this and keep moving here. But I wanted to give you the background. So it gave you. It's not what happens to you. It's how you happen to it. Right. Like if something happens to you, that puts you in a position. I like to say that puts you in a position of, oh, woe is me. But it's like, OK, this thing happened. Watch what I do to it. So this is really been, this year has been my response to being fired. Like, OK, firing. I see you coming. Watch what I do to you. I never like to view myself in the position of, oh, it happened to me. So in these 12 months, it has been more instrumental than anything to lean on what I've learned holistically in my entire career. So I'm going to start off with the 12 lessons. And again, 12 is for the 12 months that I've been full time. It is not. This list is exhaustive, everybody. I could have gone on to probably over 20. So it was very hard for me to cut this short to 12, but I'm going to jump right in it. Number one, first lesson is support is everything. You can't do anything without it. Okay. If you go through any major life change, the first thing that you are going to need is support. So I'm thankful to God for everyone who he has placed in my life. First and foremost, my wife, she is my rock, my everything. Talana, you have seen me at my worst and lowest and have done nothing but support me, love me, and pick me up. The length in which you go out of your way and comfort to support me, it's just mind blowing, because I don't know, when I look at myself and I know how I respond to things, I'm just like, how do you, even at my worst, how do you just remain so consistent? So, and as loving as you are, let me just say, everybody, Mama Bear don't play that, because when the attacks came from me in my life, when the attacks came from every direction, you became my protector and fighter. So when I couldn't fight for myself, I was overwhelmed, right? Just mentally exhausted, disappointed, just down and dejected. You became my protector and my fighter. So I thank you for that. You are truly the best decision and best investment I have made as an adult. And I love you everlastingly for that. My parents who taught me all that I know as a child, they groomed me. My mom is the one who really embedded creativity in me, creativity in art. That was all my mom. She would always push us to be creative and think outside the box. And she was the one that planted the seed of entrepreneurship in me. When I was young, just looking for jobs to work, she always said, you don't want to be working for people all the time. And my dad is the one who really taught me how to conduct myself as a man. I wouldn't have made it through college without my father. There were 2 times in my life where I really just wanted to quit. And it was navigating that space between young man to adult to grown man. And my father has been instrumental in that. Everything that he taught me as a youth, from fixing cars, to just keeping my head in the game when I wanted to quit in college. My parents have been a strong support system. So all that all that you both endured, thank you for enduring what you did to ensure that me and my brother and my sister, we grew up in the safest environment possible, with as many opportunities as possible. Also want to thank my spiritual father. I don't know where I would be in life without you. I mean, you took me under your wing without warrant, without prompting or prodding, and you've helped me navigate every curve in life. I've been taught that life is not a straight line, and if it were, nobody would have issues. But it's the curves in life, and where relationships are tested and people are lost. So every one of those curves, you have been there for me to help me prepare for it. Sometimes I'm in a curve and don't realize I'm in it. And you have been there. And I truly cannot imagine doing life without your guidance, your wisdom, your love, and just your care for my well-being, as well as my family. And then friends. Can't name them all, but the ones that I've been able to confide in throughout this journey. You all are the ones who, when I'm experiencing something heavy, whether it's good or bad, you're the ones that I talk to. You guys give me insight, support, listen to me, and you'll never know. You'll never know how valuable your ear, your openness, and your love and support is to me. So all of my friends who I've been able to confide in areas of my life as I've gone through this, that I don't display publicly. You know who you are because you know what's going on behind the scenes. Thank you for your support. And last but not least, my legal team. Great work. You guys did your thing. So hats off to you and thank you for that. All right. So that's number 1 is support is everything. Number 2 is always be building your business. Okay. Always be building your business. Yes, I understand it. That may not be the English teachers may be like, but that's the theme here, right? The lesson. And I started blogging in 2011 with no direction, no goals. But I never let up. I remember, my site used to be chrisldavis.com, and I was posting on my thoughts in life. And, I was looking at, hey, I'm going to teach people how the Bible relates to business. And, I was just trying to find my way. And through consistency, and really sparked by after losing my job at Lockheed Martin, it really helped me to get more intentional with finding what my niche is. right? And it also taught me to always bet on yourself, right? When that was the first job I've ever worked, and when I lost it, I was like, whoa, wait a minute. You mean an engineer, an electrical engineer with a master's in business administration can lose their job? Like that rocked my world. So you'll start to see that was early in my career. I learned that lesson early, and I said, you know what? Never again will I let an employee put me in a position where they are in full control of my destiny. I may not be able to replace all my income while I'm working for you, but I'm going to have something. I'm going to have something brewing. Okay? Because companies and people will fail you inevitably. It's bound to happen. So just expect it. Okay? But don't you dare fail yourself by not building something of your own. Okay? I later, as I was blogging, got connected with people. My message started to resonate. And as I started to enroll in courses and meet people in the small business space, that's really where I started to find that there was a need, to understand the mechanics of marketing. And the mechanics of marketing to me was the automation, the back end. That was a big opportunity. Then it's even as big now as it was then. And I really just honed in on that skill. So Rachel Gogos is the branding person that I met early in my career from the brand ID. And she's the one that actually gave me the name Automation Bridge. And immediately when she said it, it embodied everything. First, it was the automation part, right? And then the bridge, because that's the type of person that I am. I believe not just in bridging the gap, but not burning bridges, right? I want to be that facilitator between helping small business owners understand this technological landscape for their success. So bridge has a professional and personal meaning to me. And it's what I've used. It's what I've used to help transition from corporate to startup. It's opened every door and every opportunity I've acted on. And it's what provides a means for me living right now. The same blog I started in 2011. Though I changed the domain from Chris L. Davis to Automation Bridge, I just moved the content over and kept going. Okay. So I had no idea how to make money. Didn't even know you could make money blogging per se. I knew the only person I knew that was doing it was Pat Flynn. But I just figured if I just stay consistent with this thing and be willing to shift, right, and make the necessary adjustments, I'll be okay. And that was true. So always be building something. Okay. I'm not telling you it has to be a big corporation. But let me tell you, for under $500 in practically every state in the United States, you can get an LLC. And I often advise people, just get an LLC and a business bank account tied to that EIN, just so you can start making simple transactions. Even if somebody pays you $50 to do a logo or, $100 for a consultation over the phone, you'll start to see money going into a business account, and that will start to train you. And you'll be amazed at how much more comfortable you are and how much you can actually accomplish by just running, forming an LLC and just doing odd jobs in that business. Okay. So some of you just need to stop fighting for a seat at their table. And by there, I mean your employer. Okay. And go and create your own. Here's a harsh reality, especially in the climate that we are in today. We know the injustice is at an all-time high. And the reality is this: you can be rightfully suited for a seat at the table, and there is a great chance you'll never get it, ever. So stop fighting. Can I submit to you that perhaps that seat doesn't look as comfortable as you think it does? Right? It's not as comfortable as it looks, I should say. So you're looking like, man, look at all those people at that important table, that leadership table, that X table, right? I just wish I could have a seat there. What if everybody that's sitting at that seat is getting up with back pains, right? They don't enjoy being at that table themselves. You just never know. Sometimes we could be fighting for something. We want something so badly and we're fighting for it. And it could be one of the worst things that happened to us once achieving it. So don't ever look at covet somebody else's table when you can create your own. All right. So number 3 is don't take it personal, even if it is. All right. This is extremely important for those of you who have lost your source of income, lost your job, whether it was erroneously or warranted. The feeling is the same, right? You're used to a certain level of income and then immediately it's gone. And a lot of times it very much may be personal. Okay. So for whatever reason, you may find yourself in a situation where things did not shift in your favor. You know, so maybe ego got in the way, somebody being petty, right? You have to understand that, especially in the startup space. Let me say this. These CEOs are regular people. They're less polished than your average professional, right? So for me, coming into a startup with over 7 years of corporate experience, I'm actually most of the time more professionally polished than all the CEOs. Right. So the chance that I have more professional experience is extremely high. So with that being said, they've got no professional training on how to conduct themselves. Right. There's no barrier of entry to ensure that they've done the personal work, that some of their hangups from childhood and their just personal issues don't show up at work, because you are who you are everywhere you are. Right. So if you've got undealt with trauma in your personal life, that's who you are personally. It's going to show up professionally. So the startup space, more than anything, is so flawed because you have all of these quote unquote unpolished professionals in an uncontrolled, unregulated space, just operating. So you really have to grow thick skin, especially as you navigate higher up the leadership ladder. You've got to get tougher and tougher skin, because people get petty. OK. And they take things personal. They get scared. They get threatened. Your intelligence can be intimidating. I know mine has been. OK, so their lack of leadership or ability to truly deal with that, you could easily take that personally when they say, hey, look, your services are no longer needed. Not to mention, they could just flat out use you for a season and be done with you. And guess what? It's not wrong. You know, like, I know that's hard because it's like, I helped build this company from scratch. Without me, you wouldn't even be here. I never got a raise. You never did this. I get it. And it's all true. Let me validate you. It's not fair, but it's real. And it happened. So what do you need to do? If you've done wrong, own it and move on, but don't live in it. Don't live in that moment. There's more in store if you just keep pushing. You cannot afford to stop and stay stuck. They fired you. They're not thinking about you. They laid you off. They're not thinking about you. You got furloughed, whatever the case is. They're not thinking about you. They're moving on. And you being stuck, in a lot of cases, that's what they're banking on. They're banking on you not being able to recover. I mean, I've been in situations where I knew they were rooting for me to fail, not just rooting, but they had a heavy hand in efforts to ensure that I failed. OK, but you can't take it personal because it's hurting you. You know, the quote that comes to mind, this is for forgiveness, but it also applies to taking offense and living in it. And it's said, unforgiveness is like drinking poison and hoping it hurts the other person. Listen, you got to let that stuff go, everybody. You have to let it go so you can go. OK, leave it in the past and move on. And just let me say this, for those of you who are the decision makers, the ones that are swinging the axe. Communication goes a long way. Don't be a communication coward. A lot of times there's a conversation that needs to be had, and these soft, I'll call them soft or small leaders. And they're small because they've got big pockets in small leadership. Instead of just having that conversation and being straight up with you, they don't. And that's another reason why it hurts so bad at times, is because there's no conversation that could have been had that was had. Okay. So don't take it personal, even if it is. Your career is more valuable than any offense any person at a job can do to you by taking your job or removing you from the job. Okay. So don't take it personal, even if it is. Number 4, your signature has significance. Okay. If you follow me on social media, you know I had a video a while back called Read Your Contracts. Listen, wherever you put your signature, it is significant. And you need to understand what you're signing, because you will be a different person by the time you need to focus on what you signed. Okay, so I get it. You want a job, you just want to get started. You sign, hey, oh my gosh, look at this salary. You sign away. But later in life, when you're lobbying for a raise, or you feel like you've been discriminated on, or you had an opportunity that your door was closed on you, or you've been wronged, or whatever the case, when things go left, guess what's going to come into effect? That contract that you signed when everything was all glitz and glamour. And I don't think enough people read their contracts and what they sign until after the fact. It's often a hindsight hope that you didn't sign something in the past that will currently hinder you. Okay, so take your time and read for understanding what you're getting into. Understand the guidelines and the consequences. Especially in the startup space, the corporate space, your employment contract and those things are pretty boilerplate. But the startup space, listen, you all have to check these companies, because a lot of them do not have legal teams in place. So they're copying and pasting contracts from offline. I'm not exaggerating. So you're signing something. I remember a friend showed me one of their contracts, and one of their employment contracts. They were like, Chris, can I operate in my business? I was like, I don't know, get an attorney. But I looked over it, and the company had the nerve to say that since they're an online platform and they have customers around the world, that you essentially could not work anywhere in the world because they have customers everywhere. This was in their contract. Now, whether it's enforceable or not, that's another thing. And I can't name the person or the startup, but that was in the contract, and that person signed it away. Some of you, in getting fired, they're offering you contracts, and those contracts need to be reviewed by an attorney, hands down. If you're leaving a job on the grounds of being fired, and there is any form of separation, severance, or termination contract, or whatever you call it, you most definitely better not sign that. You better not sign that contract until you get an attorney to look at it, because you're signing in order to receive something. If there is money on the table, you're giving away something to get that. And you need to understand what you're giving away. Okay. Every time you go into a legally binding agreement, there is an exchange of rights, and you need to understand what's being exchanged. Stop it. Stop being so excited that you just, I don't want to read the fine print, and just sign it. Your signature has significance. Okay. Number 5, leverage your experience. Listen, learn as much as you can. Do not limit your learning to your job requirement and tasks. Okay. Every time that I have been working on a job, I always find myself talking to the VP of finance, the product owners and engineers. I talk to support. When I was at Lockheed Martin, I would talk to the people who had the big offices in the glass, with the glass windows looking out at the city. I would always talk to everybody, because though I'm there to do a job, there's so much value in the people around you that you will be a fool to miss the opportunity not to glean on a lot of free education that you can get. I feel like the amount of polish I have on my professional career right now is from my willingness to talk to coworkers, managers, owners, VPs, C-suites, people who are regularly uncomfortable. And I think I got it from college, because I used to go to my instructor's office for office hours to get insight on how to prepare for tests. And I would be the only one in the offices. That was it. I'd be like, where are all the other students? It was my key to success. I figured it out. If you go to the instructor's office during their office hours, they will be the most mean teacher. You do it consistently, they start to warm up to you. And some of the teachers even would tell me, hey, you might want to pay attention to that problem for Friday, right? The same can be said when you're on the job and you show a authentic interest in somebody else's position. You'd be amazed at how much they're willing to share with you. Okay. And it doesn't have to be somebody above you. It could be, a lateral position, higher, lower. It doesn't matter. Everybody has value. So leverage your experience by learning as much as you can on the job outside of your job description. All right. Number 6, coworkers are not synonymous with friends. This has been a trend I'm seeing just really take off, especially in the startup space, where everybody's friendly. Everybody goes out after work during lunch. It can be very easy to cross those lines, and it's not a blurred line. It should be a very clearly drawn line in the sand. OK, and I know this may seem a bit negative, but people are not there to be your friend. If they befriend you there and beyond, that is absolutely extra. But me, I'm just giving you a peek in my mind. I envision the inner bus driver in every coworker I encounter. I know that there are certain conditions where you will take your bus and be like, ooh, what was that? Oh, that was Chris. Anyways, keep going, everybody. Look at my promotion. Right? I know that. I'm not fooled by that. Whether I hired you, I was hired by you, I work alongside of you. I know that there are certain people that are just out for themselves. And guess what? They're on the job to be out for themselves. They're out there for the progression of their career. Right? So I see a lot of people just get offended and just take offense to when they get thrown under the bus. And I'm just like, hey, look, you didn't see their bus driver hat when you met them. You were probably so excited that you're like, oh, that looks like a bus driver hat, but they would never drive the bus my way. Yes, they will. Yes, they will. Okay. Certain people have that type of personality. They can put on a good face, but the second they see an opportunity, things shift so quickly. If something has happened to you that's wrong on the job, don't expect them to support you or speak up about it. OK, if there's an opportunity that your presence was needed and was not there and they could have lobbied for you, don't expect it. OK, because if you don't expect it, you won't get disappointed by it. And again, people and companies will let you down inevitably. So just don't set yourself up. You could be friendly and even beyond friendly, right? And still not be friends. I've been friendly with people on the job. I've even gone outside of just the confines of the job. Hey, let's go get something to eat. Right? You could be friendly and, going to places with somebody outside of the job. I look at as that's beyond friendly. If it's, 5 o'clock after 5 and we meet up, or maybe on the weekend. I've done that before. One of my coworkers, we met in like a McDonald's before, him and his wife and his son and me and my wife. And it was just 2 kids at the time. And we met. That was a friendly experience. We're not friends. You get what I'm saying? Like, I went beyond friendly. So use that term friend wisely, because you will find yourself the only one, the odd person out, and all your friends on the job still happy, still whatever. And you could be like, but wait a minute, look at what that manager did to me. Listen, they need that money. And last thing here, a lot of people that you're working with do not manage their finances correctly. So they may have a desire to speak up and help you or support you, but financially they're terrified because they literally need that next check. Most of the people working for an employer are living check to check. So they're looking at their livelihood, their check, or help you. And I've never been that person, just for the record. I know I can drive a bus. I just choose not to. Okay. Again, I'm not driving buses. I'm building bridges. So, so be it. Perhaps that's limited my career. Maybe that's what needed to be done to get to the next level. I don't want it if that's what's required. All right. Next one, nurture your connections. This is very similar to leveraging your experience, but nurture your connections, meaning while you don't have to be friends, people don't have to know that you're not their friend. People can truly call you their friend. You just be careful on your expectations, because you never know who you're sitting next to. And this goes for any job now, because you're seeing people in all spaces branch out and start businesses. So if somebody that you're connected to on the job, right, you work next to or whatever, is the potential CEO 2 years from now, and you nurtured that relationship, that connection while on the job, you'd be surprised at the opportunities that come up. Because people are always growing and going beyond their current situation. So you want to nurture those connections. And not only that, if you're customer facing, you want to nurture those connections as well. You do it because that's what you do for the job. But you want to make sure that every interaction that you have is an excellent interaction. Okay? Because again, you don't know if those customers are current CEOs, potential CEOs. They can open up a door, an opportunity for you. Hey, you were just so nice. And I was just wondering, right? Now, be ethical. Okay. I'm not saying use your job to go find other opportunities to go beyond your job. Right. But what I'm saying is be mindful to everybody that you're connected with, that you don't know where they'll be, which goes into the last lesson where it says friends are not synonymous with coworkers. Be careful who you drive that bus over, right? Because that person you ran over, they're not dead. And you never know where they're going to be. And oftentimes bus drivers set a level of success in their life. And those who choose not to ride the bus are the ones that go beyond that. So at some point, the person that was ran over is going to be in a position to potentially hire you. So be careful, you co-working bus drivers. All right. So when you're nurturing your connections, though, you're taking that into account. They may drive, they may drive the bus. Hey, this customer may be nothing but just a one-time interaction. Of the person that I work next to, I may work next to them for 5 years and nothing come of it. But you nurture your connections because you never know. I can't tell you the amount of people that I've worked with in the past that I'm still working with now. Good people are hard to find, everybody. Really hard. Okay, so the next one is perform daily in excellence, no matter the climate. This is lesson number 8. Perform daily in excellence, no matter the climate. Listen, before you tarnish your name, quit. Okay, you never be so emotionally invested and frustrated that your name becomes tarnished. Always perform in excellence, no matter the climate. If you can't show up and perform, don't show up at all. Start looking for another job. Okay. because your name is everything. It's your brand. It's your integrity. And what you do, how you operate and navigate and conduct yourself on that job, the integrity that you embody is going to speak for you when you're not present. Whether you're out sick, out on vacation, or out the building. Just, hey, don't come back. Goodbye. Right? When people try to speak non-truths against you, lie and smear and say things that just aren't true about you, you showed up in excellence every day. Everybody saw that. Trust it. Trust that excellence, that integrity is going to speak louder than any hate, any lies, or anything that is a disservice to you. Okay, so decide to always operate in excellence, no matter the climate. Okay, that you still speak truth to power. I'm not telling you to just take any and everything, but excellence is operating in excellence is a good barometer of whether or not that job opportunity is right for you. Because if you can't operate in excellence based on what's happening, or maybe you're not able to operate in excellence because they're just not giving you the promotion or the power or the freedom, pay attention to that. Because based on your personality type, it's going to start coming out in some way. And some of you you don't have as thick of skin as others. For me, I can take a lot. I've had to, as a Black man navigating corporate world in the startup space. Listen, I have to learn how to take a lot and keep on smiling. Take a licking and keep on ticking. I have to. So my tolerance is extremely high. Nobody will ever truly know my real emotion unless you know me. That's friends and family. You never know. Right? Some of you will be shocked. Chris, you were going through that? Chris, they did that to you? Yes, yes, yes. And guess what? I never badmouth leadership, right? I never threw managers or coworkers under the bus. I always smiled, right? Because I knew it was important to show up in excellence regardless. Okay. My commitment is to never let my name be tarnished. And up until this point, it has not. It has served me well. Okay. Lesson number 9, keep your finances in order. Okay. And when I say your finances, I mean your personal finances. All right. Because there is a temptation for you to erroneously rely on your job for everything. And your first step of freedom from relying on your job for everything is managing your finances. Okay. And the only way to break free from living paycheck to paycheck is to identify you are living paycheck to paycheck by managing your finances. I've used many apps in the past. None of them have really done for me what I need them to do. So what I ended up doing was just creating spreadsheets. I've had the same spreadsheet for my entire professional career, so over 13 years now. It was in Google Sheets. The nerd in me transferred it to Airtable, but it's a sheet that me and my wife use to navigate our personal finances. And we have been able to get out of debt. We've been able to get houses, pay off cars, like everything. But more importantly, how you handle your personal finances has a direct correlation with how your finances in business will be handled. So the health of your personal finances do have a direct correlation to the health of your business revenue and profits. So if you have a habit of just kind of like spending blindly, not watching it, that's going to show up in business. Okay. It's been one of my super strengths is being able to handle the finances on both sides to make sure that we're operating and hitting all financial needs. And many people who don't, they're just in their business to make money. Making money is not running a business. Making money is making money. That's just one portion of business, but you really need to have your finances in order. If I were you right now, I would be making sure that I am at least every check that I'm already planned. I have planned for every check before it hits. I know what bills each check is paying. I know my plus and minus. I say, hey, this week's going to be a little light, so I'm not going out to eat. Hey, I got a little abundance in this week. You should know that beforehand. Have your personal finances in order. Okay. Number 10, this is extremely important for those of you looking to make that transition full time from your job. Know your customer. Get uncomfortably focused, especially in your early years, with who your customer is. Okay. You should be saying more no's than yes. You have to get comfortable with that, because what will happen is if you're not focused, you leave your job. And even if you have some revenue coming in, what's going to happen is that you're going to become an employee to your own business instead of a true business owner. You just switch bosses. And some of you, I'll be honest, some of you, you're a worse boss than the job you left. Like you as your own boss is worse. So you want to be careful of that. If you're not focused, you just start taking on client work and saying yes to everybody. And before you know it, you're overextended, you're exhausted, and you're not even making the money that you need to. It all comes from focus. Clarify who you are, who you serve, and stick to it. That's why I said uncomfortably focus. Okay. Do not get beside yourself when you see an opportunity to make money if it does not align with your business model, your target audience, and what you set out to do. That is more important. I will say no to short-term gains for long-term sustainability in business. I will. I absolutely will. Number 11, build a team. Build a team early too. And when I say build a team, doesn't have to be all full-time people. A team could be, hey, I have somebody that when I need it, they can build graphics. Hey, I have somebody that when I need it, they can review a contract, but they're not on full-time retainer. Like it doesn't have to be, oh, I need staff. Okay. Because one of the worst things you can do in life is produce good results doing the wrong things. And one of the wrong things that I see is people going out as the solopreneurs. I just do not like the term because it lends to the idea that it's just you. It's one, and nothing worth doing is done alone. Nothing. So I don't believe in the solopreneur term. I respect the people who use it and I understand what they mean, but I don't, because you need a team. Okay. Building your business around you is the wrong thing. It is the wrong way. It should not rely on you to operate. Okay, because you're going to get worn out, burnt out, overextended. But worst off, the customer experience is going to be inconsistent. Okay, you're going to limit your growth. There's so many factors that come into when you don't have a team in place. And some of you subject matter experts, this is going to be tough for you because you're good in certain areas. For me, can I be honest? For me, if I just did a list of all the tasks that I do in my business, this is before help, list of tasks, at least 50. And guess what? Since I'm leveraging automation and technology, even though I'm doing all of those tasks, I still have in the lion's share of my day not working. So it would appear I'm all good because I'm working less than most people and I'm getting more done. It's literally the definition of work less, do more, right? Automation. However, it's still the wrong approach because I can do even more. I can reach even more. I can impact even more people with a team in place to really scale those efforts. All right. So that was 11. Number 12, remain a student. No matter how high you get, never be unwilling to go low enough, to be humble enough to sit at the feet, sit at the table, I don't want to say table because we used that earlier, but sit at the feet and learn from somebody. I didn't know this term until I started working in the startup space, but imposter syndrome, where you're putting on this facade that you are somebody that you're not. And I get a lot of times, I see it a lot of times with influencers and people as they're coming up. They want to have this position that people look up to them and, hey, I've done this, I've done that. And what it does is it isolates them from ever really being able to learn from everybody. They can only learn from a specific group of people because they don't want to be found out. Hey, I really don't know all the stuff that I'm saying I know. But you could be as simple as just being on your job and asked to do a task that's uncomfortable, that stretches you, and you could feel that imposter syndrome. So remaining a student allows you to always admit what you don't know. It allows you to embrace that, hey, look, I haven't figured it all out. Can you show me this? And when I say remain a student, I'm not just talking about on the job. I'm talking about in life. Listen, my children still teach me things. I am a student all the time. When I graduated college, I said, okay, I'm no longer an academic student, but I am a consistent student of life. And the minute you stop learning, the minute you figure out that, or claim that you figured it all out and you've arrived, that's the start of your downfall. Okay. So remain a student, remain teachable, seek mentorship, seek coaching, seek guidance. A lot of you, listen, if you're the same hue as me, the same amount of melanin that I have, you have to understand there are certain things, certain skills, certain resources, certain strategies you're not going to have access to because it's a generational thing. There is a such thing. There's a difference in how people ethnically are raised and the resources that they have access to. So some of you cannot afford to not be a student of people that don't look like you. In fact, when I say that, nobody can afford it. But some people aren't penalized as strongly as others. Okay? So you cannot afford to go through life not learning from any and everybody. This may be a hard pill to swallow, but there have been people that I disagree with socially, fundamentally, and personally that have taught me so much. So much. And if you're not able to be that type of student in life, you're setting a bar. You're setting a ceiling for yourself. That's low. Okay? Get knowledge and understanding from whoever you need to get it from. Okay? They don't have to be in your life forever. But be able to navigate. And those of you who are influencers and experts in the space, listen, it's okay to admit you don't know things. Nobody expects you to know everything. I do not claim to know everything about marketing automation. What I do know can make pretty much any business successful. But don't get it twisted. The community that I've created, I learn from. They post things in there and I'm like, ooh, that's a good idea. You understand? Because I'm always a student. Remain a student, everybody. Those are my 12 lessons. Again, it was so hard to get it down to 12. I can go on, and I don't want this podcast to be too long, but I told you it'd be worth it. These are things that are, for some of you listening, it's going to save your career. I'm serious. If you take what I've told you and use that to guide your approach to your job and your loss of job or your transition away from your job, you won't lose. You won't lose. So all show notes and podcasts are all show notes for all podcasts, as well as all previous podcasts, are accessible at automationbridge.com/podcast. This episode show notes will be there. And next week, we will resume our regularly scheduled podcast, okay, about building better automations. But in closing, let me say this. I would be remiss, everybody. I would be remiss to not mention my adversaries. First off, let me say, I see you. I see you. And what I mean is I see when you're sending your minions and your spies to look at my profiles and I see all your efforts that you think I don't know about. And so first thing is I see you. And two is I'll never thank you because I don't believe in it. Had it been up to you, I would be out of money, out of business, and out of hope. Because I know your true desire for me was to fail in life, even if you're winning in yours. You're not satisfied with just being successful in your life. You want to try to ruin mine. I see all your attacks. I took them square on the chin, right? You rendered your best shot, and I'm still standing, still smiling, and I'm still here. Not because any strength of my own. And the reason I don't thank you and never will is because I thank God for giving me the presence of mind, faith in him, and support to turn your feeble attempts into favor on my behalf, giving me the mindset to take what was meant to destroy me and turn it to build something indestructible in me. So it is God. It's only him who I thank daily, because I know where my help comes from. So in the closing, the words of a recent song written by a gospel artist, Marvin Sapp, comes to mind. And I'm just going to read them really quick. And it says, I thank you for it all. The good, bad, ugly, great, and small. The times of victory and when I fall. I'm so grateful that I'm still standing tall. I thank you for the tears. The pain helped me overcome my fears. You've been good to me down throughout the years. It's a miracle that I'm still here. All that I am is because of all that you brought me through. Everything I survived, it's all because of you. Lord, thank you. I'll see you on the next episode.